Welcome to another episode of Hair Biz Radio with your host, Zakiyrah and...
Zakiyrah jinxed me. Mikey! Now we're definitely leaving that first bit in. Okay.
All right, so we somehow got the intro a little messed up the first time in like 80-something episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it was funny, so I guess we're going to leave it like that.
Okay, so what's up?
All right, what's been new? What's new?
We're here in the studio. Zakiyrah's got on some new glasses.
Yeah, okay. I asked Dowie if I should take them off. He said, no, they look good.
They're styling. They got a light tint to it. It's kind of like if a guy wears those with the light tint, they're a serial killer. But she can get away with it because it's Zakiyrah. You know that light tint?
What?
You know how the movies, whatever, the light tint, and they're all killers. Like, I'm just saying. You're killing the game of business and real estate and podcasting.
I am. So, yes, definitely.
Look, I got actually a good story for you. Okay, so obviously, I know, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me it's cold out here in Atlanta now, so I'm wearing my built jacket with my built dress shirt, of course, the built pants and built shoes. So
I'm still waiting for my goodies.
I'm working on that. Basics. So let me tell you what happened. I was going out the other night. So going to the closet, my closet's pretty exclusive built basic. Besides some of the custom tuxedos I just had made in Thailand.
Side note.
But I put on the shirt. I'm like, okay, nice color, feeling good. And I start walking to go out, right? Because the shirt was the last thing I put on. And I was like, man, this feels kind of loose, which is not the built style for me because, built a little bit myself. And I was like, this is a little loosey-goosey on me. I start walking and I said, something's not right. And there's a mirror in my stairway. And I go like this and I grab the tag and I look. And it wasn't built basics. I said, oh, hell no. I marched right back up into my walk-in closet, took that thing off, put it in the thread up to send over there to sell, and grabbed the built basics shirt. And I was like, oh, now the guns are gunning. Now
hilarious.
I'm back.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so I almost got, almost got
bamboozled. Yep.
Almost got bamboozled. But the built did me good that night.
That is funny.
So you doing exclusive built?
Mostly.
Yeah, that's all Mikey buys now. Yeah.
I'm built too, but I'm not exclusive. I love the way
you cheat on them a little bit. You're a cheater.
They're definitely side pieces.
This guy.
So we have a special guest on today. I'm going to introduce him. He is my father. So he's a very special guest, but his name is Kendall Ficklin. He is a 30-year business owner, business consultant, all things business and relationships, leadership, professionalism. And he is going to share with us today about business from the hair perspective, but also business as being an entrepreneur in general. A lot of these practices you can take and transpire them into. This is hilarious. I cannot. Oh my God.
I'm not cutting.
You know what it is? I think it's the patch. It's the patch. Let me take it off.
Guys, this podcast is the most interesting. Make sure we don't edit any of this out, please.
We are definitely going to edit this out. Okay. So, yes, they are trans-usable in other industries as well. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kendall Ficklin.
Yes. And, side note, Kendall is the first guest to come on the show twice.
Yeah, that's
We've
right.
never
Was it
had
twice?
This is second time.
Okay.
The first time was
16 or 17?
2016 or 17. He was in the top first 10 episodes.
Yes, yes. I don't know why I thought it was 3 times. This is the 3rd time. But no. Okay, second time.
So
okay,
first
cool.
guest to make it 2 times to the Hair Biz Radio. So
yeah.
pretty exciting.
A vet in the game. A vet in the game.
Records. And also, Kendall's a good friend of mine. We try to meet up about monthly, just talk about business. We're kind of in a similar place in our life. And it's very difficult to meet people like that.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially as you get older, your circle of friends gets smaller.
Absolutely.
And it's just hard to meet people that are in the same, I mean, we all have friends, but to actually have a friend kind of on that same journey and same path is very difficult to find.
Yeah. And you guys started fairly the same level, kind of starting off with ventures. And
I think what people don't realize is how important it is. Like that monthly lunch that we do is so valuable because we're able to talk about things that we're either going through, growing through, learn. I literally take out my notepad. I'm taking notes. We were just sitting in the office and he was giving me some things and some nuggets. And so as we share that with each other, sometimes you think that the journey it's not working or it's not worth it. And you go through things and you have challenges. But when you sit with people, and I ain't talking about these people on social media that only show the highlights. That has its place.
Yeah.
But when you actually can sit down on a consistent basis with somebody that is in the game, and we're talking about the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, what's next, the adjustments and things like that, it just lets you know that, okay, I'm not in this alone. Yeah. Everybody's kind of going through the same thing. And I call that, you want to make sure you have a top 25 or top 10. And those are the people that you're growing with, you're learning from. It's an iron sharpens iron type of thing. You want to make sure that you have those people that you, like I do lunch with Mikey every month, but I got people I play golf with every week. I have other guys that I meet with maybe once a quarter. And so when you have that circle of people, it just keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
I can't be an entrepreneur, business owner, and only hang around employees all the time.
Yeah.
People who have jobs. Nothing wrong
with
that, but we have a different experience when it comes to business and work.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm like, hey, Kendall, I opened a few stores and lost $1 million last year. You know, it's like, you might have lost a bunch of money too.
Yeah.
And then I might have a friend's like, oh, that's not bad. I lost $5 million on this project. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, wow, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about business, kind of take us back to the beginning of when you even knew or thought that entrepreneurship was for you.
So to put everything in perspective, I'm 57. I'll be 57 in February. So because I'm close to 60, I started saying I'm nearly 60. So I'm going to say I'm nearly 60 years
Slow
old.
down. Yeah.
Slow down. So when I sit back and I think about it, the first job that I had was 17 years old, UPS, flipping boxes. So right after school, I used to go to UPS, and it was hot in the trucks. I was unloading, and I did that for 3 days. And so when I realized that I'm just not built for it, I always found a way. So during that time, I went to PageNet. You remember PageNet? Mm-hmm. You probably don't. Mm-mm. I went to PageNet, and I got a reseller's account, and I started selling beepers. And all the guys around the neighborhood would come and pay their $4.95 monthly bill. Then I got an account with Bell Atlantic, and I started selling cell phones. From my car, when you had to write and fill out the application, and I would call it in, and they would say approved or denied. And everybody that was approved, they had given me Nokia, the big Nokia phones. And you had to program them at that time, and I would program the phones. And so once I started doing that, then I was like, okay, I cut hair too. So in the basement, in the garage, you might not remember, guys used to come every Saturday and I would cut their hair. So I always had something going on, something moving, whether it was the beepers, whether it was the cell phones, whether it was cutting hair. I always found a way to be free. So even when I graduated high school and I was doing my thing, my sister called me one day and said, AT&T, because she worked at AT&T, she said they're having a job fair. And I need you to go up there. Me and mommy need you to go up there because you need to get a job. Because they're from the work economy. Yeah. So I was like, I'm fine. No. Go up there and get a job. So I had this white, I think it was white or really light beige. I look crazy. And I put the suit on and I went up there. Backstory a little bit. When I was in 10th grade, my mother made me take typing. And I didn't want to take it. But I was good. I was sweet with that thing. So I was typing like 25, 30 words a minute. So I get to the AT&T career day. And in those days, you go, and if you get past a certain point, you can get hired right on the spot. So I got to the one last part. It was for the message center, doing phone calls, doing phone work. And I had to take a typing test. And in order to qualify, I had to do at least 25 words a minute.
Hilarious.
So I did the typing thing, and I did like 30 or 35 words a minute, and they hired me on the spot. So I started working at AT&T in 1989. And I did that for about 9 or 10 years. But the whole 9 or 10 years, I always had something else going on. So either I was selling sweatsuits I would go to New York, pick up sweatsuits, sit in my cubicle, Mikey, and sell sweatsuits to anybody that would come through. I had a cleaning business while I was there. I sold books while I was there. If you name it, I was doing it. Until finally in 1996 or 97, I made the leap. And I said, I'm going to leave AT&T. By that time, I was a manager. It was free money at that point. I'm going to leave AT&T. And I went full throttle in the cleaning business that I had gotten. I built the cleaning business from zero. I had every Starbucks in New York and New Jersey. I had 9 sports authorities, 25 people working for me. And it was crazy. I would leave home on a Monday. You might not remember, and come back Friday. And so I left AT&T, which was the best thing that could have happened to me and the worst thing. Because there's one thing to say I want to be an entrepreneur, but there's another thing to have to go out and hunt every single day.
Yeah. So for, because you also have a backstory in haircutting as well. Mm-hmm. So what was the passion behind becoming a barber?
I was never a barber.
Okay. Explain.
So I never went to school and got a barber's license.
Okay.
And I cut hair for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I never actually went and got a license. Because you know how you do stuff sometimes and you enjoy it, but you know it's not the thing. So I knew I didn't want to be a barber. You know, a barber or a stylist, they got the white coat on. They look like, I know barbers, they look like barbers. I only wanted to be in the shop when I had clients. And so I never called myself a barber. I said I cut hair. But what I loved was connecting with the people. I loved the day in the life at the shop. I loved selling haircuts, and I loved selling. We had a pool table in the shop. We used to do events at the shop, whether it was fight parties, and we would charge people. And I had, and this was, I'm good now. Then we had, in one of my shops, Mikey, it was called the Boom Boom Room, right? And the boom, yeah, we're going to let that breathe for a second. The Boom Boom Room, Boom Boom Room doubled at a couple of different things.
I'm sure it did.
But the one thing it did was, that was where we made, this was back when DVDs were around. Some of y'all might not remember DVDs.
Now I'm really
DVDs and
CDs.
I think I'm past the statute of limitations. But we would make DVDs in the Boom Boom Room. We were doing everything in the Boom Boom Room. Guys would come in to sell TVs and all this other stuff in the shop. And I would always be like, where'd you get those TVs from? I'm trying to either create a relationship so I can sell the TVs. It's always, how can I get rid of the middleman? So it was during those times when I realized that I'm just a genuine entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I'm good at, certain things that I can make happen. But once I left AT&T back in the mid to late 90s, I have been unemployable ever since.
So what would you say are the characteristics of becoming an entrepreneur? Because there are a lot of people who want to start businesses. We have a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't want to work a 9-to-5 anymore. I want to just focus on my beauty business or hair business. And what would you say to them? What are some of the characteristics that they need to have in order to become a full-time entrepreneur?
So I think, and I'm going to share what I did during that time. So when I was cutting hair, I wanted to make a transition into business coaching and keynote speaking, right? And that was around the time we got together and we started sharing this journey. And Mikey gave me one of my first opportunities to
at the conference,
the
seminar.
conference.
I said orange shirt and all.
I saw that picture with the orange shirt the other day.
Isn't that crazy? That was like beginning of
12 or 13, maybe 14.
2014,
yep.
And I still remember the shirt he was wearing.
Oh, I remember too.
That is great.
Too big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a Nautica. I think it was a Nautica shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
So during that time, I was cutting hair, and I said to myself, before I can leave the shop, before I can stop cutting hair, before I can leave that industry, I need to take, if this is the haircut money, and this was the new venture, I needed to get the new venture making exactly how much the haircut money was making, and do that for at least 90 days to 6 months. And so once it did this and it got even, I got excited, but I couldn't stop cutting hair. So I went from cutting 6 days a week to 5 days a week to 3 days a week to 1 day a week to just meet me at the crib, meet me at the house, I'll cut your hair, to Kendall, you ain't never around, so we can't come by.
Yeah.
So what I would tell everybody is, you don't quit your job, let your job quit you. Meaning, for entrepreneurs, a lot of times making the money isn't the biggest problem. Most entrepreneurs, you can sell hair, you can sell a haircut, you can sell a product. The question is, can you sell enough of it to cover your monthly expenses?
Yeah.
And can you do it consistently? So what I would tell everybody is you don't leave your job. You don't quit your job. Your job has to quit you, and it quits you because you're making whatever you need to make in your endeavor. And not only are you making that money, but you can take care of your personal expenses every single month.
Yeah.
Now, for those that have responsibilities. So if you're a young lady and you got kids, you got a family, and you're saying, I want to work for myself so I can make more money. You don't do that. You start a business to build it.
Mm-hmm.
If you need money, you go get a job.
Yeah.
Because all the money that you make isn't yours. Mike and I were just talking about all the expenses that come along with everything. You've seen employees on both sides, and you've seen them come, you've seen them go. So there are expenses that come along, not to mention taxes.
Yeah.
I think I told you that the first year I hit the big number, after the IRS, after my accountant said, all right, well, here's how much you owe the IRS. It was like 162 grand. I was like, huh? Yeah, I got to give them that? Absolutely. All of it at one time? You can make a payment plan. So once you get past that, then you start, all right, maybe I need to set this up as an S corp. So you don't quit. You don't leave your job. You transition.
Yeah. So what would you say the transferable skills that you learned being at a 9-to-5 job for the 10 years you were there?
My sweet spot, I have two major gifts.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is I can turn nothing into something. The testicular fortitude when it comes to that, for me, is on a whole nother level. Y'all Google that word. You'll catch it later. That's number one. And number two is I'm great with people. So even in the shop, I knew all my clients. I knew everybody's client that came into the shop. We spoke. What the rule was, if they walk through the door, you shake everybody's hand, you speak. You connect with everybody. You connect with people. Even the young guys that work for us, they had to shake everybody's hand that walked through the shop, right? Walked in the shop. And so for me, the transferable skill and the biggest aha was, yes, I might be selling haircuts, but I'm in the business of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I might be selling beepers or phones, but I'm selling the product to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that number one transferable skill is I'm nice when it comes to people.
Yeah. So it's possible to start a business, and is it possible to start a business and not be a people person? Because we have so many people who are like, I'm not good with people, or I'm not good in front of a camera, or I don't really want to talk to people. I just kind of want to sit behind.
It's a lot easier now with the internet.
Yeah, it is a lot easier.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, when we started Private Label, and it's similar story to Kendall, Private Label was my side hustle until I was employee number 4.
Yeah.
2.5 years later, I would take $1 for 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. So even though I was working on it, from 5 a.m. to 8:30, and then 6 p.m. till 9-10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I didn't get my first check for 2.5 years because I had to build that thing up, because I made the mistake in my first business taking money out early instead of growing it. Because you have to grow it to get to the point where you can actually start saying, hey, this can actually pay for my, I can get rid of my job and do this full time, and then grow exponentially. That's where a lot of people, I think, make a mistake, is they start paying themselves too early. They quit their job too early, and they don't realize the amount of pressure you have, that you have to be successful in your business to make your monthly expenses, because now that job that everybody hates a job, I'm sometimes like, man, jobs are so easy. Oh my God. Like, it might be tough, and you might have to be somewhere, but trust me, there's a lot of benefits to having a job. It takes a lot of stress away when you're starting a business and you need money, because your business needs to feed itself.
Your business is going to go through 3 stages, right?
Here's the framework.
Here's the framework. So just like a baby, when you start the business, you have to feed it, just like a baby, until it can get to the point where it can feed itself. So feeding it means you're putting in time, energy, effort, and money into the business. It ain't giving you nothing back but heartache, challenges, some enjoyment in the beginning, but not a whole lot of enjoyment. The enjoyment is I'm building something on my own. Then you get it to the point where it can feed itself. And all that means is I'm not having to put in as much money, as much effort, and as much time. It's like even kill. It's not taking from me. It's even kill. It's neutral. And then hopefully, and a lot of businesses don't get here where it can feed you. That means you're making a profit. That means that you're not working as much in it. You're working a little more on it, and you're making a profit from it.
That's
but
good.
most the time that it takes to go through those cycles is different depending on every entrepreneur, every business endeavor. And the reason for that is this, and you just talked about it. You know, when you go looking for a job, you got to fill out a resume.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fill the resume out, somebody looks at it and they want to know if you have the skill set to qualify for this position. But a lot of people say, I want to be an entrepreneur, and you haven't looked at what your skill set is. What do you bring to the table? I know I'm a people person. So the more I can run my mouth, the more I can connect with people, the more opportunity I'm gonna make money.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best barber in the shop, but I was the best when it came to people. So if you're good at SEO, if you're good on the computer, if you're good setting up the camera, then you say to yourself, I want to set a business up where I can use this skill set, and then I'll bring in help.
Yeah.
And help doesn't mean that you hire people, because you may not have it. The first help comes from home. Because when I started speaking, Zakiyrah was with me all the time on the road, trying to take pictures and get footage. She was, she was okay with it, but she would take pictures, and she would always say to me, Mikey, are we getting paid for this one? Are we getting paid for this one? And I would always say, no, not yet, baby. No, not yet, baby.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that is how it goes.
You know?
Definitely.
And it's funny because we'll talk about it in the next episode. Kendall and I were talking about a project that I just started. And the funny thing about starting a brand and a business, and I call it the money clock, right? Because once you start the business, the money clock turns on and you start having expenses. So your goal is to go zero to launch as fast as possible, not worry about making it perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. Do it with how your current knowledge, do it as fast, efficiently, and cost effective as possible. So I'm doing that right now with something, and I'm documenting it. And it's interesting to see today, like I did a photo shoot actually right at this table with my iPhone 13 Pro. And it's like I could have used the cameras, but it's more for documenting, is kind of building the story that people can do. And it's interesting. I'm just like, boom, boom, 2 photos, boom, boom, 2 photos. Like I could have spent time, I was talking to someone, he's like, oh, you got to flatten iron each piece. And no. I'm like, bing, 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 bing. I was like, no, I'm just getting it done because I'm going to end up using AI for stuff. I'm going to get user-generated content, which obviously me wearing a wig is not going to sell the wig. And, you start learning, though, as you go. So, like the business that you start today, even if it fails, that's okay. Because I promise you the next one, you're going to be able to start twice as fast for half as much. You're going to make a lot less mistakes. Things will go better every time. Yeah.
And you still may fail.
And you still may fail.
Yeah. My man that did, there's a story. It says, so the guy started a company, and the first company that he started, it failed. And he said, all right, I'm going to do this again. And the second company, which was different, it said it failed proper, like it failed again. Then he got to the third one, and it failed more miserably than the first 2. Then he got to the fourth one, and that one failed, not as bad as the first 2, but as bad as the third one. And then the fifth one, he started, it blew up. The fifth one was PayPal. The thing with being an entrepreneur is, if you're really about this life, failure is a part of the process.
Yeah.
And failure doesn't mean, it's not negative. As long as you look at the lessons that you learn. And if you can't go all in on one thing, thinking that this is going to be the one thing. That's why I love what you said. Like, people will look at this podcast and they'll see all the great equipment, or we see all the great stuff that people are doing online, but we're looking at where they are. That's why I love the idea that you had, because it's like, you're gonna show them what it looks like from scratch using that. Now, I want y'all to know, Mikey said he got an iPhone 13. 16 just came out. He got an iPhone 13, and he's gonna use 3 generations back to start a business, to generate money. Now, here's the key thing for y'all. In his skill set, because some people are going to be like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get my iPhone 15 and I'm going to start a business. But Mikey's sweet with that phone. He's sweet with the technology. His skill set is aligned with the business that he's starting.
Yeah.
So I think the question is, what's your sweet spot?
Yeah.
What's your strength? And then can you let that gift make room for you?
Yeah, I like that. I want to transition to brick and mortar, because both of you kind of have the similar story with owning a barbershop, owning stores. there's like so many obstacles, struggles, hidden things that people don't know they need to do when it comes to actually owning a brick and mortar place, whether it's a hair salon, barbershop, or hair store. So what are some obstacles that you would say you faced owning several barbershops in the time that you had?
I think when my first shop that I got, the biggest challenge was capital. Right? I didn't have everything I needed to open it. And then the second challenge was driving traffic because I wasn't good with marketing. If I remember, I don't know if we used to sit down back then, but when we started sitting down, when you were an employee somewhere else and you weren't the fourth employee here, and we were talking about marketing. And for me, marketing wasn't my sweet spot. So I'll never forget this. The first shop, I had got a sign put out front that said exchange in big letters and barbershop in little letters. And I'll never forget, guy that worked with me, we was outside and I was like, why are we not getting any traffic? People aren't coming. I was like, I got the light fixed on the sign the right way they could see the sign. He said, oh, that's simple. I said, what you mean? He said, the sign said exchange. They're not looking for exchange. They're looking for a barbershop. So I had to change the sign out.
Yeah.
Simple things like that. And when I changed the sign out, more traffic came. The other part to that was I had to identify what products or services generated revenue for the shop.
Yeah.
So I had to go from thinking like a barber to thinking like a landlord. And so the chairs, I needed to get the chairs rented out on booth rent so that the business could make money.
Yeah.
And when I cut hair, that was me to take home money. Also, what other products can I bring in the shop that will make money? And because my sweet spot wasn't marketing, it wasn't necessarily product and fulfillment and all that, I had a big gap. So that was a big challenge.
Yeah. And I think now we're in 2024, let's just say 2025. People are really about like, oh, this looks good. Like I want to go get a shop or go get a store because I want to say I owned this or I did this. It's very cutesy, very demure right now. And so I think that people understanding and learning the backstory of what it actually takes to build a brick and mortar store, like you got to have your marketing right. You got to have your capital together. You got to have the mindset. Like it really, all of this goes back to mindset. Like, is your mind in a position to actually take on entrepreneurship or even becoming a business owner?
It's cutesy until you sign that personal guarantee for a 5-year lease.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, someone actually just reached out to me on Facebook about a couple of weeks ago. She wants to open up a store. And I said, look, to be honest with you, she's like, even partner with someone. I don't know if she was talking about partnering with me, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I was just like, right now for the hair industries, like getting started online is a great time, I feel like, to get online.
Yeah.
But the hair industry fell off a cliff in about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So like what happened with private label is we spent all this time, effort, and money setting up a bunch of stores because our stores were killing it. Even setting these up during COVID, which was near impossible to get stuff done. Yeah. Right. And then I finished opening up, we had 7 stores and then it fell off a cliff. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. Yeah. Expenses are through the roof. Sales are plummeting. And it's not just us. This is, I'm in China working directly with the manufacturers. Right? Yeah. These are my partners. And they're like, we've never seen it this bad. I've been in they've been in the industry for over 20 years. They're like, I've never seen it this bad. Wow. So also with some of this is timing in business. Yeah. Because we've had projects that we were too early on. We were mostly too early on stuff, right? Too early, or the timing just wasn't right. So like the stores were great. They're beautiful. But the timing, like who would have known that this would have happened? Yeah. And that's just part of business. And people are like, oh my God, are you upset you closed XYZ store? I'm like, no, I'm saving money. Like I'm happy. The rest of the business has it, because if you don't make changes, it can make the whole ship fall. Yeah. So sometimes you have to make really tough decisions.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. You're making very tough decisions. And, people don't always understand that at the time, or other people in a company might be like, oh my God, like that's so messed up that they did that. I'm like, if I didn't do that, you would lose your job too, because it's not like it's unlimited money out here. Yep. I'm very fortunate. What saved us is we were still very conservative, even though we did really well for many years. We were conservative, with our spending and savings. And that got us through the hardest time. Things have stabilized now.
Yeah.
And things are looking a lot better, but still like that's tough for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
I think Mikey just spoke to something that you asked about a second ago. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
So even if you think about when COVID hit, the adjustments that businesses made.
Mm-hmm.
Chick-fil-A started that mobile drive-through, but I did some work with Chick-fil-A a year or two, maybe 2 years before that. They were practicing that mobile drive-through at the headquarters location. And now if you look, they got the sweetest mobile, fastest mobile drive-through ever. They made adjustments. Starbucks closed a bunch of stores. They're about to close some more stores and completely change. It's the pivot. It's the adjustment. You can't come into entrepreneurship with an employee mindset.
Yeah.
So when you shift your mindset, and sometimes you can't just shift it, because if I'm not doing lunch with Mikey every month, or we're not connecting and we're not talking, if I don't know what an entrepreneurial mindset looks like, sounds like, feels like, I'm not going to know what the hell to shift to.
Yeah.
So I have to actually put myself around other, and there's this thing now. There are entrepreneurs, and then there are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And the difference is, I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect nobody. There are entrepreneurs, and then there are wantrepreneurs, where they want to do all of these different things because it looks good and it sounds good.
Yeah.
But until you actually have to shift your mindset and say, all right, I just closed that deal for 30, 40, 50 grand or 2,000. We just sold 10 products for whatever. And then say to yourself, but that money ain't mine. And be fiscally, first time using that word, fiscally responsible with the money. And for me, like when I had the cleaning business years ago, I knew how to make money, but I didn't know how to manage it.
Yeah.
As fast as it was coming in, it was going out. But I knew how to go make money. So in my head, I was like, oh, just keep making the money until taxes, until people quit, so you have to have a mindset to pivot, to adjust in order to really be successful. And last thing, this is a long game. So you said you started private label. What year was it?
Technically beginning of 2014. Like
Good.
First second day of 2014.
2014. I stopped cutting hair, officially retired 2017, but I started building the coaching and the speaking business in 2013, 14. Right? So now 2014 is now 2024. It's 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? 10 years, it's been a roller coaster ride. Now you've seen people start in business and just not make it. You've seen people start and not make it. That doesn't make them bad people.
Right.
It just means that they're going through a season where either they didn't make the adjustments, their expenses were too high, they weren't managing their money, or they needed to shift and change the product.
Yeah.
But you have to have that mindset to say, we're going to do this again.
And I think that's where was taking me to my next point, transition, pivoting. Do you have a strategy when it comes to needing to pivot in business, or kind of a universal strategy that people can utilize when it comes to transitioning, pivoting, or getting to a next level?
So I'm going to do the transition and the pivot in challenging times first. And Mikey, jump in with this. So for me, in my business, like right now, I'm looking to see what the market is doing. So what I could charge last year for a service is not the same price that I can charge, that I was able to charge this year. I just told Mikey when we came in, between this year and last year, I'm down income revenue 400 grand, right? Down from last year for no other reason except the market shifted. So the transition for me was shift the price point so we can stay in business. Because right now, in those 3 stages, a baby is like a baby. You feed it, it feeds itself, and then it can feed you. So when the market says, I can feed you, but not as much as I've been feeding you. So we got to go from Similac or whatever that other baby formula is. So I might need to put you back on the breast. I might drink this soy milk, whatever is cheaper. And so you make that adjustment. So the transition is you got to feel what your market wants from you in that season. And so just for Mikey and I talking, he felt like you felt when the shift was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we would be sitting down. He'd be like, yep, I got to get rid of this. We got to get rid of that. We got to make this. I got to move this here. And you start making the transition. The challenge is when you take too long to make the
decision. Yeah. And taking emotion out of it. Like we even talked about Mikey starting a hair business he has no hair. Like he had to learn the business. There was no emotion in it. It was, this is a product that I know will sell because it's in demand. Like we just talked about the app that I was explaining to you before this. Like they had no knowledge about what was going on in the industry, but they saw a problem and they created a solution. So it's like when you think of business, you want to think about what's the problem and what's the solution that I can make for the problem, and not so much emotion about how do I feel about this, or like I don't really like this, or does this look right, or is this good? And it's like get rid of all of that, and I think that helps the transition even more when you're not attached to a level or something certain with emotion.
I think it comes down to like over years you get I call it emotional intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, hey, I'm smart. It's not intelligence of like when was the Civil War?
See, we all
emotional intelligence is more of like you're going through business and you just things aren't going to bother you as much. So it's, you expect problems.
Yeah.
And once you learn that, things go better. Because I see people, some little thing happens in business. To me, it's small.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been through plenty, and there's plenty of people that have been through a lot more than me in business, right? Like I like to talk about Elon Musk and what he probably goes through in a day. Whether you like him or not, what he does in a day in business is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like one of those things you just kind of learn as you go, because there's no manual for this.
Yeah.
You learn as you go as far as solving problems. People here, I know staff have previously said, oh, Mikey, he's always doing something new. There's always something new. And I have to.
Yeah.
Because this business changes so much and so fast. I am going to do stuff. And yeah, probably 75, 80% of it's not going to work. I don't get upset about it. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. They're like, what? What do you mean we're not doing that anymore?
And it drives your team crazy.
Yeah, they're like, no, I'm not doing that. But then those things that do work, they work.
Yeah.
And that pays for everything else exponentially so.
Yeah.
In the hair industry, the wigs. Wigs were crazy. And then I just finished doing these just the most beautiful, amazing things with wigs. Then the wig market within the last year totally fell. Now it's back to bundles. Yeah. And now it's not even like the good bundles. It's the most affordable, low cost bundles. So then I'm like working with manufacturers of like, how can we have a high quality product? Because that's private label.
Yeah.
But at a lower cost. Right. So I'm in there trying to do stuff. I'm trying to always find ways. And that's just one of the parts of business that it just takes time to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to get into it. And the worst thing you can do is give up. Expect to fail. Failure is okay. Despite what social media says, like not all these people are so successful.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
So let me ask a question. Do you think that, and we're going to use the word entrepreneur, that being an entrepreneur is something that an individual has innately, and it can be turned on and off depending on, or do you think that an entrepreneur can be built?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think both. I think it depends on the person, because some people may not be born with it innately in them, but can build the skill to become that type of person. But I also think that it can be just inside of you.
But I think, and to it, there's two pieces, and you touched on it. There's skill set, there's mindset, and there's heart set. Now, skill set wise, anybody can learn a skill.
Yeah.
But you can't learn the heart and the head that it takes to do it. That emotional intelligence.
You can train your mind to become that type of person.
Good.
But I think the hard work piece is it in you? Like, do you have the heart for it? And sometimes people can build the heart for something like that.
Yeah. So I was telling somebody the other day that wants to make the transition from their 9 to 5 into full-time entrepreneurship. And one of the things that I said to the individual was, I gave him an assignment and I said, I need you to go out and find 5 individuals to purchase your service, your product. Period. Just go get 5. Go get 5 leads. People who have indicated interest in your product or service.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Well, should I post? So he sent me a message back and he said, I posted this message on my social media. Hey, I got this, I got that. DM me if you're interested. And I said, how many social media followers do you have? He said 1,000. I said, so only about 300 people actually saw that. So what you gonna do now? And he was like, post it here, post it there. And I said, and then what? You're gonna pick up the phone and call people. You mean you want me to call people in my phone? Absolutely. Right. So that's the hard work.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And so the challenge for him was actually asking people. So a lot of times the space that we're in now in this season of time allows people to hide.
Mm-hmm.
When I was an entrepreneur coming up, there wasn't social media. So I had to ask for the sale. I had to go do the work. When you started, social media wasn't like it is today. So you had to go do the work and do the marketing. And I think what happens now is that hard work that you talked about, it takes longer to be developed because people hide behind social because they may see private label post something. Yeah. And it might sell 100 pieces of product.
Oh, I wish.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to turn around and I'm going to post mine. But I don't have as many. I got 80,000 followers right now. And I can't even post something and have 1,000 people just, boom, slight flex.
You know what it's like? It's interesting you say that because of how much time has changed, especially since, we grew up. Mm-hmm. And I think about this. So some of my friends are single. Mm-hmm. And they talk about that are girls and they talk about, meeting guys and they have trouble meeting guys. And, I've been in a relationship for 13 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about the apps, right? We call them the apps. You got Tinder,
Mikey though.
You got Tinder, you got some Bumblebee, some Coffee Meets.
But he don't know about the apps.
Coffee Meets, Egg McMuffin. I don't know. You got all these apps. Okay. And I'm like, wait a second. Do guys not approach you? Like you're out and guys.
It's gotten very different.
They're like, no, they never come up to me.
Yeah.
Like, really attractive girls, even medium attractive, and then average girls, just the whole spectrum. I have friends that are single. Wow. And I'm like, wait a second. You mean how do you meet people? They're like, only the apps. And I'm just like,
something's going on with the
I was like,
testosterone in some of these men these days.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, all you have to do, guys, if you're single, get off the apps, man up. If you're in the grocery store, you're at the bar, you're at the park, girl walking a dog.
The mall, anywhere.
The mall, approach the girl, get her Instagram, whatever, and just be like, look, I think you're great. I think you're great now. I don't know. Let's grab a cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be a commitment. Doesn't have to be a big night out. Let's just grab a cup of coffee, blah, blah. Just that simple.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as business. Okay. You have to be a little bit more aggressive, right? It can't always just be, I'm posting and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. There's no one-on-one interaction.
Right. And I think that's what people are missing now in business is the interaction, the personableness, the in your face. Like it's very much so like if I can do this transaction without ever having to talk to you on the phone.
I call it the hunt.
Yeah.
Right. We're not hunting. So even to your point, like for men, I'm thinking natural born hunter.
Yeah.
When we want something,
yeah,
we're going to get it. If you're out, and I've seen guys do this. You ask the young lady, "Do you have Instagram?"
Yeah.
Why just give me your phone number? Because I don't have a hunter's mentality. I'm farming, but I'm not hunting. When you decide to become an entrepreneur, you need to hunt, you need to farm, and then you need to prepare to hunt and farm.
That's good.
And if you're not hunting, that I consider that not just a skill set, but that's hard work.
Yeah.
Because you have to have the testicular fortitude to do that. The balls. You have to have that in order to do that. And if you don't, and again, we're in the society where all the passiveness, you're posting and you're posting and you're posting, but you're not selling.
Right.
And if you're not selling, what's the definition of a business? What did Peter Drucker say? It's finding and keeping a customer.
That's good.
Let's say it again. Peter Drucker said, the definition of business is to find and keep a customer or client. So that means every single day when we wake up, whether it's email, whether it's a phone call, whether it is not posting. I don't consider posting on social media a strategy. What makes it a strategy, if I post something, if I post Mikey's outfit, his built outfit, built, I'm coming. If I post Mikey's outfit and I say, yo, out here at lunch with my guy Mikey, I love this built jacket that he has on. And it just so happens I'm a sponsor or Mikey's a sponsor. Comment Mikey built inside. And then I got a mini chat on the back that's saying, hey, as soon as I see the comment, here's a link. But now I can see who comments and I can control the conversation from there. But if I just post, I'm just posting.
Yeah.
It's not a strategy and I'm not hunting.
Yeah.
And we've just gotten so accustomed to laying back, whether we single, and when we see we're not finding and keeping a customer, and we're not posting, we're not doing business.
Yeah. I think that also comes back to Mikey and I have had this conversation a lot as well, but in order to be successful in business, you have to be successful in your personal life too. So building strategies around what does your daily routine look like? What does your mindset look like? How is your heart? Like what are all those different things? So what would you say has helped you on your personal side become very successful in your business?
It's two games. It's the inner game and the outer game.
Mm-hmm.
So the inner game is my physical, my mental, my emotional, and my soulful, right? Those are my energies. So physical is eating, exercise, and I had to add in sleep because I have been challenged with this sleep thing for a while.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I'm eating right. I need to make sure that I'm exercising moderately, but I'm training for a half a marathon right now, so it's a little different.
Full marathon.
I'm sorry.
Full, guys.
Yeah, let me.
26.2.
26.2 in 2025 at 57 years old.
Let's get
That's
it.
going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm training for that. So I'm getting the physical. I'm still not sleeping right, but I have to make sure I'm sleeping right. Mental is, what am I learning new? How am I growing from a skill set perspective? Making sure that my mental energy is high. What podcasts am I listening to? That's educating. What books am I reading? Like Fearless Beauty. That's a phenomenal book.
Fearless Beauty. They have on Amazon.
Yeah. What am I reading? Do I have a growth mindset? Right. The emotional is the emotional intelligence. Am I aware of how I'm feeling? So I literally got a feelings chart. And I'll wake up in the morning. You've seen the feelings
pretty
chart.
good. I use it
It's
sometimes.
fire. Now I'm redoing it. Not entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So I saw the feelings chart. I love it, but it doesn't speak to me the way I speak. I like to say to Crib, you lit, you on fire. I'm pissed off. So I got all of the words from the Urban Dictionary, and I got somebody that's going to design a new feelings chart with that's entrepreneurship, and we're going to put that out in the marketplace. But making sure that I am emotionally mature. You know, I'm in touch with my feelings, right? And then the other thing is soulful. That's that connectedness. I meditate 20 minutes a morning, most times 20 minutes a night, but definitely I get my 20 minutes in just to keep me connected and committed to that inner person, that inner peace. That's the inner game. So I feed that. The outer game is professional, right? That means I'm practicing my craft. What do? I am a coach. I am a consultant. I'm a speaker right now, and I'm an entrepreneur. I have to practice that craft. I have to practice being an entrepreneur. I have to learn and grow my entrepreneurial skills, my speaking skills, my coaching skills. So professional, right? Practicing the craft. Then I have financial. That's good money management. How much does it cost me to live personally? Personal expenses. Mikey and I had a great conversation about this. Like, what are we putting into dividends? What are we doing with the REITs? What are we doing? Like all of that, you have to money model, another framework. It is, you have to, first of all, be mature with your money. Then you have to master making it. And master making it means when I know my monthly number, I got to be able to make a minimum of that every single month.
Let's stop right there really quickly, because we've had this conversation a lot about how people in the beauty industry don't manage money properly. So what was the transition from when you started to when you actually
Maturity.
were able to
It's
manage
maturity.
more? Okay.
It's just maturity. They don't manage people in the, like you say, people in the beauty industry don't manage money properly because they don't manage their personal money properly. It's just carried over.
Yeah.
We always went after making more money. We never learned the management piece.
Yeah.
So because when I first you saw me, when I first started bringing it in, I'm like, let me buy that, let me get that, let me do this, let me do this. Like until the bill started coming in and I was like, okay, we need to slow down.
Yeah.
And I got around people and I'm growing. I'm learning how to manage that thing.
Yeah.
And so managing it, meaning know your numbers.
Yeah.
You got to know how much it costs you to live. You can't go out and open up a salon and say, and you don't even do hair, just say you're going to sell hair. You're going to open up a store, sell hair like the person that called you, and you may know how much your lease is, but you don't know, you ain't got maintenance. You don't know how much your utility is going to be. Not to mention, are you working a job or did you quit your job? How you going to pay your monthly living expenses?
Yeah.
How about that tax every year, personal property tax? Basically, your inventory and other stuff you get taxed on. Our bill is like about a Honda Civic every year. New Honda Civic, by the way.
New Honda Civic.
So like for me, I'm working on inventory management a lot this year to bring down, like I said, guys, it's a game.
Yeah.
You want as little inventory in the stores or at the warehouse as possible without running out. So how do we get better at this?
Watch this. Mikey just said, that's the mental part, the inner game. That is the professional piece. He's mastering this craft. He didn't know that when he started.
No.
But because he is invested in this life, he is investing and growing in that part of his game.
Yeah.
So when you look at the money model, you got to mature. You have to master making it based on what your numbers are. And that includes a bunch of different things. Once you're managing your money right, then you got to begin to multiply it. You got to put it in things, dividends and stocks and REITs and all that other stuff, or go buy property, whatever it looks like for you, but you multiply. And once you get sweet at those three, you start moving that money around. You start moving out of the country. Mike and I talking about moving out the country, going to other places and doing some different things outside of the country. So once you do that, that's your financial piece, outer game. So outer game, you got professional, financial, and then relational. What are your relationships at home? We do family day once a month.
Yeah.
They do daughters day once a month. I do once a quarter sons day with the sons, but I talk to the sons. I'm texting with the sons all the time. So I'm making sure inside of my routine, I'm connected with those people that I love inside the family. And relational is not just family. It's also associates. It's also friends. Mike and I do lunch once a month. We missed yesterday. I missed yesterday. He was ready. We do lunch once a month. You have what I remember I said that top 25.
Yeah.
These are the top 25 people that I need to stay connected with. It's relational. Who am I meeting that I can add value to, or they can add value to me that I can build a relationship with? And then you start to extract the network from their network.
Yeah.
So that's the relational. Then you're looking at recreational, because all fun, all play and no fun, all work and no play makes you a dull person. So you have to go out and you got to enjoy life. You have to intentionally schedule fun. I play golf every Saturday. Period.
Yeah.
Right? I play golf. I spend time with myself. I have what I call those free days. And so I do that. And then charitable is on the other outside of that. And that means, what are you giving back? Whether it's, I think Mikey is, if I can use this word, when we do lunch, the information that he shares with me, for me is like, yo, that mentorship, that giving back. And then watch, I done seen him do lunch when you were doing the lunch. You paying for lunch, right? You were paying for lunch.
Yeah.
To have young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, that's giving back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you start incorporating those types of routines and you make it a part of your everyday life, you're learning, you're growing, you're going to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah. So
And
what have you
here's
seen?
the last piece.
Oh.
Here's the last piece. There is no separation between life and business. There is no such thing as balance. Balance really doesn't exist.
Work-life balance?
No such thing.
People think there's work-life balance
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like,
It
people are
doesn't
like, what do you
exist.
think about it? I'm like,
It's-
it's a people pacer. I'm like, it never ends.
It's rhythm.
Yeah.
You see Mikey go out of the country. He's up at 5 a.m. Out of the country 5 a.m.
Yeah.
He's working. And then he'll work for an hour or two, whatever it looks like. And then he's going to go out and enjoy his day with his people. He may go out that night.
What was it called that you were doing? The
1812.
1812.
Yeah, I was doing the 1812. So 18 days in Atlanta and then 12 days out of the country.
Yeah.
So I did that a lot last year.
And you still worked.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't turn off. As an entrepreneur, I might not be on my computer working. I might be walking down the street with my girlfriend. You know, she might be like, oh, look at that castle wherever we are. But at the same time, I'm like, let's make sure those bills are paid. Like in my head, in most entrepreneurs' heads, it's very hard to turn that off.
When you're born with it. And I think that's where I was going. I think that's where I was going with that question. Like,
if you were born, if you can.
I was telling my wife the other day, like, if you could just sit inside my head and just see all the stuff that's bouncing around, not just bills or stuff that we have to do or deals that are on the table or stuff that needs to get done. I just said to Mikey, I'm looking to create this. I talked to you last week. I'm trying to create this and do this new.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for a new opportunity to put a product or service in the marketplace while still always thinking about and still saying I got family I got to spend time with, and still saying I have to get out and I got to exercise, I got to meditate, I'm going to go play golf. So it's not balance. You create a rhythm in your life to where I can do my work when I leave here, I'm going to run. And then after I go run, I'm going to work. And then after I go to work, I'm going to go home and sit with my wife for a little while. And then I'm going to try and go to sleep, or I'm going to binge out on the Lincoln Lawyer. But it's a rhythm, no balance.
Kendall, you going to the sauna?
I have not started, but
that's going to help you sleep.
The sauna?
Yeah.
Losing weight is going to help you sleep.
And the sauna.
And then the sauna is a game changer. Another thing I wanted to ask you, because we've talked a lot about, like, you know, we're big on investments and dividends and such. And a lot of people talk about multiple streams of income.
Yep.
Right? Have I ever talked to you about creating the river? So this is something that a lot of people get lost with when they try to create multiple streams of income. What you need to do first is create a river. You need that river before you get distracted with all these other things, you know, stocks and real estate, you got to create that river. And once you have that river flowing, then all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to put some of this in these stocks that pay dividends, and it's going to pay me every 3 months. Hey, I'm going to take, now that I have this thing going a little bit, now I'm going to put some of this, I'm going to build this stream over here from the river, because the river pays for everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to build this stream, and I'm going to invest in a real estate property. Right? Starts making a little bit of income here, hopefully. Right? And then maybe it's like, hey, I invested in this other business, or I started something up on the side real quick and it's making money. Right? So what people need to realize is create that river.
Yeah.
And once you have the river secure, set up nice, then you can start creating the streams.
Yeah.
And that's really key. Don't go for those streams too early until you have a really flowing river.
We did talk about that. And the way I say it is multiple streams, get the one stream. If you don't have streams, you'll have multiple drips. And once you have that one stream or river flowing, then you can go find a drip, and then you turn that drip into another river.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here's the key to that. You have to do it based on the season that you're in, who you are, and how you want to flow. Like for me, my other streams cannot take the majority of my time, which is why I'm big on in my Schwab account, in the REITs and all the other stuff, because I don't want to be a landlord anymore. I don't want to do flips. I don't have the energy that I had at 30, 40 years old. So based on who you are in the season of your life, determine what those drips look like. And you can have active, you can have passive, and then that thing that I call active passive revenue.
Yeah. That's good. What would you say is one tip for someone who is looking to get into entrepreneurship? They haven't started entrepreneurship yet, but they want to become an entrepreneur.
First, that word is just so general. Like entrepreneur.
Someone who wants to own a business. Someone who wants to become a business owner. Like any type of business.
Because the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you want to do?
But just generally.
What you want to sell, because it's going to be different for everybody. So watch, because it's not, here's a general answer. Make sure that you have your financial situation at home solid.
Okay.
Right. What are you doing to earn a living right now? And don't change that while you're jumping off into
That's good.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think people
Basic
need
number
that.
one.
Like
Yeah.
that's number
Do
one.
not leave your job
Mm-hmm.
thinking that you're going to start a business and make money. You're not going to make money. You might have money.
You're gonna create more stress.
You might have money coming in, but it's not yours.
Yeah,
Half of it belongs to the IRS, the government.
yeah. So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, and then the second part of that question is, what's a piece of advice that you would give to a seasoned entrepreneur who is looking to go to the next level in their business?
Focus on you first, like being the best version of yourself. We talked about it. Mikey showed us the bowl of what you got in the bowl, all the protein and everything. And every time we meet at the salad bar, same salad bar every single month, right? And we have a salad. His salad changes up depending on what he's doing, how he's swimming. But every time I see him, at a certain point, he would either gain, but then he would lose. But he's always thinking about his health, and he's staying health conscious. So we're talking about the inner game. So it doesn't matter where you are in entrepreneurship. It's the inner game, because if you don't have the energy, you're not going to put the work in that you need to put in.
Yeah.
If you're stressed out, you're not going to be able to make the decisions that you need to make, and you'll end up with decision fatigue. And what happens with you'll end up with decision fatigue and attention residue. You saw that. Decision fatigue is what it says.
Yeah.
You're making so many decisions without a break or rest. You are tired now of making decisions, and that will affect your ability to make good decisions. And attention residue means I got this ping pong ball in my head. I'm talking to Mikey, but I hear you on the other side, and I'm jumping over here to this, and I'm doing over here to do that. No, focus in on your top 3 priorities. That's real. In life first, and then what are my top 3 priorities in business? Yeah, that's good. Mikey was saying, when he decides to make a big move, right? The number one challenge for him is going to be moving the pets. And his heart, like I felt his heart when it came to those children that he has, right? And I was like, wow, like that is compassion. Like I won't move here unless I can make sure that it's comfortable for those people or pets in my life that I love. And that's critical. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll make decisions just based on money, and that's always temporary. That's good. Yeah, absolutely. That's real good. Yeah. So where can people find you at? How can people get in touch with you? Anything you want to share? Google me. Google me is hilarious. I always say, just Google me. Let me tell you what I'm finding in this season of my life. I have a different way that I like to promote myself. So if you Google me, as soon as you put my name in, everything is going to pop up that I need you to see. Let me Google them. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, let's pull this up real quick. Let me see what you got up there. Oh, just like, you got the author, you got the photo there. Good photo, smiling ear to ear. Website. Yeah. Insta. Yeah, just Google Kendall Ficklin, guys. Right. And when you Google, you're able to see all of the things and the body of work that individual is currently doing. Yeah. Right? Love it. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for joining us today. One of the things that I love about you is your passion for what you do. Not just because I'm your daddy. Nah, it's the passion for what you do and the leadership and knowledge that you have that you can share from the experiences that you've gone through, whether it be from teenage years to adult, young adult, middle-aged adult, even to being a seasoned business owner. That's very interesting to see, and to be able to sit and learn is amazing. So I appreciate you for joining us today. Yeah, and I can't, one of the greatest days of my month is when I sit down with Kendall. Like I don't tell him enough, but I always, like, everybody else that's close to me knows. Like, I'm like, you tell me. I'm tired. It's like, what's going on? I was like, I'm having lunch with Kendall today. It's going to be so good. It's so hilarious. It's just hard to, like I said, it's hard to find people just when you're in the same moment. Yeah. You can have people that have, experience about marketing, this, that, but it's like a moment in life. Yeah. It's really, really difficult to find. So it's great to have somebody kind of align with me in this moment of life. Absolutely. Any last words you want to share before we head out? Yeah, just be patient. Give yourself some grace. Make the adjustments, adapt, and whatever opportunity that you want to take on from an entrepreneurship or business perspective, sit down with the right people, get some advice from seasoned entrepreneurs. If you're working a job, do not leave your job. It's okay to do both, and give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would do is take a 30-day social media detox.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Whatever you allow to go inside of your ear gate and your eye gate, you become a part of. So the only voice you want to be able to hear in your head for 30 days is yours.
I like that. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hair Biz Radio, and we will be back soon.
Later.
The later.